Society loves to praise intelligence, but only up to a point. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most radical philosophers of the 19th century, argued that truly intelligent people don't fit in. They threaten the very foundations of social order. Why? Because they see through illusions, question authority, and refuse to blindly follow the herd. And history shows us societies often fear and even punish those who dare to think too deeply. So stay with me until the end of this video, because I'll reveal the one core truth Schopenhauer believed about intelligence that explains why the world secretly fears it. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button. This channel is where we wake up minds together. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that truly intelligent people inhabit a different reality than the majority of society. For most people, life revolves around simple pleasures, gossip, entertainment, and the endless pursuit of material possessions. Their attention is consumed by distractions, by what Schopenhauer would call the surface level of existence. But for the thinker, life moves in an entirely different rhythm. The intelligent person is not satisfied with appearances. They want to go deeper, to explore the mystery behind existence, to question the meaning of life, to examine the very structures that most people simply accept without hesitation. This creates what Schopenhauer described as an invisible wall between the thinker and the crowd. While the masses chase amusement, the thinker is drawn inward, toward solitude, reflection, books, art, and truth. And as much as this inner life enriches the soul, it also isolates. Have you ever noticed that when you bring up deeper questions about existence, meaning, or philosophy, most people quickly change the subject? They feel uncomfortable, even threatened, when confronted with ideas that challenge their everyday assumptions. This is exactly what Schopenhauer saw. The intelligent person often becomes a stranger in their own society. He even wrote, "The more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him." This one sentence explains everything. For the average person, life feels simple. Eat, work, socialize, repeat. But for the thinker, life is drenched in mystery. Every moment, every experience, every action reveals questions that don't have easy answers. And here lies the paradox. The more deeply you understand reality, the less able you are to play along with the illusions that everyone else takes for granted. You can't fake enthusiasm for meaningless gossip. You can't lose yourself in shallow distractions. You can't unsee what you've already seen. But this clarity comes with a price: loneliness. Schopenhauer argued that intelligent people often find themselves excluded, mocked, or simply misunderstood. Society sees their seriousness as strangeness, their depth as arrogance, their solitude as weakness. And so, the thinker withdraws further, not because they hate people, but because the crowd cannot meet them at the depth where they live. Think about history. How many great minds lived lives of isolation? Socrates, condemned for questioning society's values. Nietzsche, who walked alone, writing for readers who would only come decades after his death. Even Schopenhauer himself, who lived most of his life ignored, mocked by academics of his time, only to be recognized long after. It is almost as if society cannot tolerate too much intelligence in its midst. The herd instinct resists anything that threatens its comfort, and the thinker, by nature, threatens it. And perhaps you've felt this in your own life. Maybe you've had moments where you realize you think differently. You see connections others don't see. You question what others accept blindly. Instead of being celebrated, you may have been met with silence, dismissal, or even ridicule. And I want to ask you this directly. Have you ever felt that your thoughts set you apart, even when deep down you wished you could just blend in? If so, you're not alone. Drop your experience in the comments below. I truly want to hear your perspective because your voice matters here. And while you write, don't forget to subscribe, because the next insight might change the way you see not only yourself, but also the entire society around you. Arthur Schopenhauer argued that society doesn't actually want truth. What it really wants is comfort, stability, and the illusion of certainty. And intelligent people, the true thinkers, are dangerous precisely because they disrupt that comfort. Think about what a deep thinker naturally does. They question traditions that have stood for centuries. They challenge the authority of leaders who depend on blind obedience. They expose contradictions in religion, in politics, and in culture. Contradictions that most people prefer not to see. For the average person, life feels safer when it runs on autopilot. Beliefs are inherited, not examined. Traditions are followed, not questioned. Authority is respected, not challenged. But the moment a thinker steps into this environment and begins to pull apart the illusions, the entire system starts to tremble. And that is why, for society, the thinker is not just inconvenient, they are dangerous. If too many people begin to ask questions, the illusion of order collapses. If too many begin to see through the lies, control becomes impossible. History gives us endless examples of this. Socrates, one of the greatest minds of Athens, was condemned to death simply for questioning the accepted wisdom of his city. His crime? Corrupting the youth with questions that made them think for themselves. Galileo, centuries later, was silenced by the church for insisting that the earth revolved around the sun, a truth that threatened not only scientific tradition, but the entire worldview that gave power to religious authority. Even more modern thinkers like Nietzsche were dismissed as madmen, their insights too disruptive for a society that preferred moral comfort over existential challenge. Schopenhauer understood this pattern clearly. He believed the herd instinct, the natural drive of people to conform and protect the group, always resists what it cannot control. And intelligence, true intelligence, cannot be controlled. You cannot chain a free mind. You cannot silence a question once it has been asked. This is why societies so often turn their brightest minds into outsiders. It's not that they fail to recognize their brilliance, it's that brilliance itself is a threat. The presence of a true thinker exposes the fragility of collective beliefs. Like a single candle in a dark room, their light reveals the shadows that most people would rather ignore. And maybe you felt this in your own life. Have you ever noticed that when you start questioning a tradition, or when you refuse to accept a belief just because everyone else believes it, people look at you differently? They may even become defensive, as if your curiosity itself is an attack on their way of life. That's because deep thinking is disruptive. It shakes the ground beneath the herd. It forces people to confront questions they've been trained to avoid. And rather than face the discomfort of doubt, society often chooses to isolate, mock, or silence those who ask too many questions. Schopenhauer believed that this is the cost of intelligence. To think deeply is to live dangerously, not because of what you discover, but because of how the world reacts to it. Arthur Schopenhauer never saw intelligence only as a curse. To him, it was a double-edged sword, a source of pain, yes, but also a hidden form of power. On one side lies the burden, the solitude, the sense of alienation, the inability to fully participate in the illusions that sustain the majority. On the other side lies the gift, a closeness to truth, a resistance to manipulation, and the independence of thought that cannot be bought or controlled. He wrote that the intelligent person lives nearer to truth than the rest, and truth, by its very nature, is uncomfortable. It strips away appearances, dismantles comforting stories, and reveals the naked reality beneath. The average person can escape into distractions, entertainment, gossip, tradition, but the thinker cannot. Their eyes are forced open, and once you see the machinery of life, you cannot unsee it. But this painful clarity also becomes a kind of freedom. The intelligent individual cannot be easily deceived by propaganda, cannot be seduced by hollow rituals, cannot be bound by the hypnotic power of collective opinion. Where the masses are chained to the approval of others, the thinker finds strength within. Schopenhauer often compared society to a theater. Most people are actors on stage, reciting lines they never wrote, wearing costumes handed to them, following scripts inherited from family, religion, and culture. The intelligent person, however, is the one who steps off the stage, pulls back the curtain, and sees the ropes, pulleys, and wooden props. Suddenly, the grand drama loses its spell. What seemed eternal is revealed as temporary. What seems sacred is revealed as constructed. This revelation is both liberating and terrifying. Liberating because it breaks the invisible chains of illusion. Terrifying because once you recognize the play, you can never return to innocence. And perhaps more dangerous still, if one person sees through the performance, others might start looking too. That is why intelligence unsettles society. It is not because thinkers are strange or eccentric. It is because their very awareness threatens to unravel the fabric of collective belief. History gives us countless examples. Think of Galileo, who dared to say that Earth revolved around the sun. His vision was not just scientific, it was dangerous, because it shattered the illusion of a cosmic centrality that religion had maintained for centuries. He was forced to recant, yet his truth reshaped the world. Or think of Socrates, who wandered the streets of Athens asking uncomfortable questions. He exposed the ignorance of politicians, priests, and ordinary citizens. The price? Accusations of corrupting the youth and a death sentence by poison. Schopenhauer recognized this eternal pattern. The closer one moves toward truth, the more society reacts with fear. But paradoxically, in that burden lies power. Only those who endure the pain of clarity can experience the strength of freedom. Isolation becomes the tax on lucidity. Many brilliant minds have carried this tax. Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, Van Gogh, individuals too vast for the categories of their time. They suffered solitude, misunderstanding, even madness. But out of that solitude came works that shifted the course of human thought. The ordinary person seeks safety in the crowd. The intelligent person learns to walk alone. And in that loneliness, they discover their true power. Because once you are no longer enslaved by the applause of the crowd, you cannot be controlled. And that is what most threatens the structures of power, a mind that does not need to belong. So Schopenhauer leaves us with a paradox. Is intelligence a punishment or a gift? In truth, it is both. It punishes by removing the comfort of illusion, but it gifts by offering the chance to live authentically, to see clearly, and to choose freely. The same clarity that brings suffering also opens the door to liberation. The thinker may carry the burden of truth, But within that burden lies a power society will always fear: independence of mind. So here's the deeper truth Schopenhauer revealed. Intelligent people don't scare society because they are violent, chaotic, or destructive. They scare society because their very existence exposes the danger of living unconsciously. They are living reminders that the comfort most people cling to is fragile, that the illusions we surround ourselves with, whether religious dogmas, political narratives, or cultural traditions, cannot last forever. They remind us that the security of the herd is not real safety, but a shared dream that collapses the moment someone dares to question it. And that is why independence of thought will always disturb those who depend on the herd. Because if one person wakes up, it threatens the sleep of everyone else. The dream no longer feels stable, and the collective begins to fear collapse. Schopenhauer saw it clearly. The thinker is not the danger. The danger is the truth they reveal. Now I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Schopenhauer? Are intelligent people truly feared, or are they simply misunderstood? Are they seen as a threat because they are different, or because they force others to face realities they would rather avoid? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them carefully because your perspective matters here. And this is not just a monologue, it's a conversation. And if this video sparked something inside you, a recognition, a discomfort, or maybe even a sense of relief, don't let it end here. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear these words. Because what we're building here is more than just a channel. It's a space for independent thinkers, for people who refuse to stay asleep, for those who dare to see the world as it really is. This is The Last Thinker, and together we awaken minds,